Hello everyone, Zeldarant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to talk about the upcoming support cards as well as the Uma that'll be dropping here later today, and that's going to be the SR Seiun Sky Wit card alongside the SSR Stamina Manhattan Cafe. On the Uma side, we have the one that a lot of people have been waiting for, Copano Ricky, the Dirt Queen, and that is very, very strong in Dirts. Before we get to her, we're going to take a look at the support cards first. We're going to go through them fairly quickly. These ones, for most people, if you can already tell, very obvious, going to be easy skips because we have Light Hello and Agnes Tachyon coming up next. So unless you're a big whale, this one's going to be an easy skip for a majority of players. So first, we'll take a look at the SR Seiun Sky Wit card. This is a card you may acquire over time, even on the Agnes Tachyon Light Hello banner as you pull. And it is an overall pretty decent stat stick for an SR Wit card. Newer players might be able to take big advantage of this, especially if you want to build front runners. Has 10% training effectiveness with 5% in the unique effect alongside 5% in her kit. She does have 5% race bonus if you're going to be needing that for maybe building parents in Track Blazer, but race bonus is kind of fallen off in relevance outside of Track Blazer now, so I don't really look at it too heavily. Okay, friendship bonus, nothing crazy. And it does have a pretty good starting initial friendship, and I think this is one of the stronger things with it. A lot of the strong wit cards right now, something like Fine Motion and Nice Nature, have fairly low initial friendships. Getting those rainbows very early and very quickly in Grand Live is very important. So something like this actually is a quite good advantage on it. Does have skill point bonus, which is also really nice. And then when it comes to her hints, she does have hint levels 2 and hint frequency 30, and she has pretty good frontrunner hints. She has groundwork, early lead, fast pace, frontrunner savvy, second wind, which got slightly buffed a little bit. So overall, pretty stinking good for a new player. I mean, of course, we have a lot of better options right now, especially with the SSRs. But if you're new and you pick up some copies, it could be very good. Now we're starting to also see debuffers becoming more relevant with the gold shipped alts, and she does have hesitant pace, frenzied late, and hesitant late. So fairly good for building a an ace debuffer, or even if you're looking to build one of the start actually building a parent and grandparent chain for debuffers. She has 3 built into her kit. So overall, a pretty good stat stick for both building a frontrunner ace potentially, or parent making, as well as for making debuffers. But you'll get copies of her over time, so you're not going to need to pull over her as the SR card. For Manhattan Cafe Stamina, she is a very solid stat stick. Has stamina bonus 2, we have skill point bonus, we have guts bonus, we have training effectiveness 10%, friendship bonus a little bit lower at 25%, but still pretty solid. Hit levels 1 and hit frequency 20%, nothing really too crazy there. It's your typical support hints that you see with Manhattan Cafe. What really makes this stand out against the other Manhattan Cafe stamina is versus instead of having that long debuff that gives a little bit of a heal, she now has a normal, well, I wouldn't say normal, but she has a normal gold heal in the sense that it's a ginormous heal at 0.075, with the main drawback being a decrease in speed of 0.15. Now this is basically, you're getting a bigger heal for about the same cost as like something like Swinging Maestro, but it also has a very tight condition in that you basically need to be in late surger positioning of 4th through 7th. Now you might see this decrease in speed is kind of a negative, but with how longs kind of work, especially with late surgers and the new acceleration they have access to going into them, it can be tricky if your Uma's very strong on your mid race. She might push too far forward. And so, depending on how the build goes, this actually could be a good thing to increase her speed. So she keeps herself in that mid range so she can get her acceleration and pop off on longs. Pretty good. Major Bright has it, so people may have already experienced this if you have a copy of her on the longs. Very, very strong. And then also the white version of it's Free Spirited, which if you get this built into your Sparks, it's okay as well for your late surgers, as this is a 0.035 heal. Still has a negative 0.15 attached to it. But it's a solid little heal, a lot better than your typical white. Not as good as a normal gold. But if you just need that filler one, this is a pretty cheap way to kind of get it for your late surgers. But outside of that, there's nothing really crazy about this card. I could see this potentially being a borrow, but there's a lot better options. I think most late surgers will borrow the stamina card, simply Chris S, that actually comes with the acceleration for lates. The gold version. It used to be called Lose It Yourself. I think it's got a new name now. But if you're going to borrow a stamina card, that's the one you're going to borrow for most late surgers, as that's got the acceleration on it, of course. And you're not really going to want to bring 2 stamina cards, especially in Grand Live, where you're really needing those speed and wit cards. But those are the support cards. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the main thing everybody's been waiting for. Copano Ricky, the Dirt Queen. Now, we'll go over a kit here, and then we'll kind of talk about whether or not you really want to pull her now, or if you're someone that's willing to spend, maybe potentially picking her up on a selector instead. Because if you haven't already heard, Christmas Oak Recap is also very, very strong on the upcoming Dirt. And to the point that she may even be stronger than Copano Ricky, because stamina is going to be such an issue in Grand Live. But there is also another Dirt that'll be coming towards the end that Copano Ricky will be a monster in before we get the selectors. But taking a look at her kit here, stat bonuses, she has 10% to power, 20% to wit, so very solid there. I always like my stat bonuses in power. Makes it much easier to really get those stat caps. Especially now with the update where max power, or well, 1200 plus is actually more important. So really good. And then also making it much easier to get your wit. When it comes to aptitudes, A in dirt, F in turf, so you could make her work for turf. I will say, she's also, just like she's a monster on the dirts, she's also a monster on turfs. But when you look at everything you're needing to pull off to get her to be a monster in turf, because one case, she's going to need to hit turf on inspiration at least once to get it back up to A, and you're still going to want the mild/medium S. And you're going to need so many turf sparks, that's not going to be very easy to pull off. But if you do, she will be just as strong on turf as dirt. But mild, medium, and then she's also a front and pace. You can make her work late, but front and pace is really what she's built for. And it all comes down to her unique here. Her unique being so right off the bat, she just has a default 5-second 0.25 speed. So very, very strong in by itself. It's just below the duration of like the gold shipped ult, using that as kind of the prime example that everybody loves. Being 6 seconds at 0.25. But she also now has a target speed and acceleration special scaling based on how many green skills she activates, up to 6. That is the big thing with her. You're going to need to get 6 green skills to fully activate her ult. So if you're one of those people that already hated building frontrunners with 3 greens for groundwork, she just makes it even more complicated with 6. Now, I will say, within her kit, she has 3 built in, so you're basically just needing to get 3 new ones added in, and 2 of them are ones that you're naturally not getting very easily, so it's not like she has like the 3 big ones already. So getting 6 won't be as hard as it might seem, especially in the upcoming Dirt, because Fine Motion already can give her 2 more of them by herself. But this special scaling brings her speed and acceleration up significantly. I think she'll be currently the one with the fastest and strongest mid-race ult at this point with these. Now, when we come into her innate skills here, she has a bunch of the random dirt ones like Sunny Sign, and then the gold version of it, Chance of Victory, which is a pretty strong mid-race skill there. She has Pace Chaser Savvy, one of your greens, if you're building as a Pace Chaser. I will say Frontrunner Savvy is built into Light Hello's kit, so you'll easily get access to Frontrunner Savvy in Grand Live, so that'll be another one. So either front or pace works very easily there. Medium corners are very good for the medium tracks. Then she also has 2 other greens built in that are specifically for dirt. You have Solid Steps, Collaborative Graded Races, which these are basically the dirt. If you're doing the dirt tracks, get that one. Solid Steps. And then you also have the gold version of Solid Steps here. So right there, three greens right off the back. And this is where I was saying also where she can be a monster on turf as well. While you need to get the turf inspiration, the other problem you're going to have is these are specifically basically dirt specific greens. So now you're getting to the point where you need to get 5 greens through inspiration or support cards to make her work on turf. Like I said, she can be very, very strong, just very hard to build for turf because now you're losing access to a lot of the built-in stuff. So she has that. And then we go down here. She also has Forward March top pick built into her skills from events. And then she just makes her overall skill have higher target speed with their evolution, as well as the making the green give up to potentially 100 speed with the evolution to strong steps. And one of the things also when you kind of look at these, when it comes to her strength, is these are all speed increase screens. Collaborative Greater Races is a speed increase screen, a speed plus 40. Solid Steps, or well, the gold version of it, Strong Steps, is if you meet all the conditions, which is having greater than 1200 power, 80 speed there. If you get the evolution, if we get those early, that's 100. The 100 plus the 40, you have 140. Then you also have the whether you have right-handed or left-handed needed. That's another potential 60. And then you have the season. So like the upcoming one being summer. So if you have summer runner double hit, you have summer runner right-handed. You have we get the evolution here to Long May Pulse. You have and then you have collaborative race course. I think that takes you up to like almost 240, I think, speed on top of the 1600 you can get. And then you can go even crazier and have something like Lone Wolf. While you shouldn't do this, you could always get something like Firm Course Menace from NTR. Don't use that card. I'm saying you could. You can get her some a crazy amount of extra speed on top of the 1600. So not only does she have an insane amount of mid-race power with her ult, she also has a very high top speed that she can get above and beyond anybody else. And that on top of course, getting like medium S or mile S just makes her stupidly fast. So very, very, very strong on dirt. Can work on turf and be very strong there. It's just going to be very hard to get that turf A at a minimum with your distance S, and then also getting all 6 greens when the built-in ones are primarily targeted towards dirt. But she is a very good pickup for the dirts. Now, kind of talking about whether or not you want to pull her now versus maybe waiting if you're willing to pay, buy a selector, or farm her out just farm her out when she becomes eventually available, which in the legend races. There is only one dirt where she's going to be an absolute monster before the first paid selector. The next one upcoming, if you have Christmas Ogre Cap, she's going to be a monster on that one in her own right. That you don't really need Copano Ricky to do well in this next one. But the mile that we'll have towards, I believe it's at the end of Grand Live, she will be like a super strong. So if you don't have her, you will be going up against other very strong ones there. Not saying you can't beat her, but just know that she's going to be like the super meta on that one. And so one of the things when it comes to pulling for her as well that you can do, and this is actually my kind of plan with it as well, potentially here, is she does overlap with Light Hello and Agnes Tachyon. And so you can, now she overlaps by 4 days, so you won't be able to get all your free 10 pulls, but you can get an idea of how your pulls went, because when Grand Live drops, depending on how many polls you plan on doing, you can do all the way up until the point that the free polls get you to the pity. So we can take a look at it where if you're only going 200 polls, you can do 140 polls on like Hello Agnes Tachyon, then get like 3 10 polls built, 3 of your free 10 polls before Copano Ricky is getting ready to drop off, which then brings you up to 170 polls. Depending on how those polls went, you might feel like, oh, I got plenty. I don't need to go to 400 pulls. Or I had abysmal luck. I'm just walking away with Light Hello, Perma borrowing Agnes Tachyon. It's not worth it to go to 400 pulls anymore. Now I can pull for Copano. You might have a very good idea of how everything went at that point to make a decision. So in my opinion, for a lot of people, just go ahead and wait. Don't pull immediately, and then see how your luck was on Agnes Tachyon, Light Hello, and then just pull on Copano Ricky last second. So that's going to be pretty much it, though, for the upcoming Uma Banner, Copano Ricky, and the Manhattan Cafe SSR Stamina and Seiun Sky SR Wit. And if you like my content, if you can like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.